involvement will include providing the platform along with its necessary technical support, for example, the SDK, API, and also evaluating and making the decision on whether they will be listed on the Pi platform, and keeping them always in line with Pi's policies and interests of the ecosystem. By contrast, the Type 2 ecosystem apps without business models, in addition to the same things as Type 1 apps, Pi core team's involvement will also include giving advice and guidance, designing mechanisms, and defining policies that incentivize these developers and facilitate such development, and when necessary, even mobilizing the community to support their development. What are the apps to avoid? Of course, in both types of applications, we want to avoid ingenuine apps that try to game the system, or apps that are not compliant with law or Pi's policies. For example, sham apps that do not really facilitate real goods and services transactions, but are in essence a channel for malicious people to scam pioneers for money or data, or speculative people to sell Pi for fiat or other cryptocurrencies, to organize unauthorized exchanges of Pi under the table, or to hoard Pi. These apps we want to avoid. We also want to stay away from any apps that will raise regulatory questions in some regions, for example, gambling apps or casino type of games. The procedure may involve evaluation by the core team, evaluation by the community committees, and continued monitoring and auditing by the larger community. To ensure the compliance of law and Pi's policy, alignment of Pi Network's core values and strategies, and the benefits of the common good of the Pi community and more generally humanity. Next, we will have one of our core developers for the apps platform present tech and product updates and plans for the Pi apps platform.
Welcome back everyone. In the previous video, we saw how to use the Pi SDK, run your app in the sandbox, and authenticate the user. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the overall payment process. The process I'm about to explain is at a very high level, but even with this, you'll be able to understand what you need to do to create a payment. If you want to learn more about what's happening behind the scene, please refer to our Pi platform documentation. Now, let's begin. Throughout the process, essentially 4 parties are involved: your app server, the Pi servers, and the Pi blockchain. The most important point to remember is that all of them must be completely synchronized about the state of payment to avoid any possible race conditions. If something goes wrong, a user may pay for an item that's already given to someone else, or a user may pay for an item twice because the process gets interrupted. To avoid such cases, the Pi core team has implemented a protocol as a part of the Pi SDK, and you don't need to worry at all. With the Pi SDK, creating a payment in Pi apps is very simple. Let's have a look at create payment function. It takes 2 arguments, which are payment data object and an object of callback functions. The payment data object is comprised of 3 items: amount to be paid, memo for a user, and metadata for your own usage. If any of these are missing, you'll get an error. onReadyForServer approval is a function that gets called when the payment ID is ready. Using this function, you need to pass payment ID and other relevant data to your app server. Then on your server, you should reserve an item for the user who's about to buy it and let Pi server know that you are ready to proceed. In other words, you need to make sure that your server is aware of the current payment through this function. onReadyForServer completion is a function that gets called after the blockchain transaction has been submitted to the Pi blockchain. Your job is again to pass any relevant data to your app server. On your server, you can verify the payment and deliver the item that was reserved for the user. In the end, you should complete the payment by letting Pi server know that you have received the payment and delivered the item. The other two functions are onCancel and onError functions. As their